I got a message last week from a client of mine, and his message was really heartbreaking. He sent me a message at first, and he's like, "Hey man, great news. I got a match on, I don't even remember which app it was, Bumble, Hinge, something. I got a match on here, and I have a date scheduled with this girl for tomorrow. I'm so excited for it." And I was like, "That's great, man. Great news. Let me know how it goes." And then about 10 minutes later, I get a message saying, "She unmatched me. This is why girls are terrible. Jack, why did she unmatch me?" So I thought to myself, you know what? That's a really damn good question. I can't answer it for you exactly because I don't know exactly what was said, exactly how the conversation went, anything like that. However, what I can do is I can give you a primer on female psychology and attraction. Now, I have had my fair share of unmatches as well, back in the day when I was using the online dating apps. And it is a really, really demoralizing and disheartening thing to happen whenever you match with a girl and you think, you know what, this girl seems really cool, she seems really interesting, we seem to be getting along well, and then she's gone. Like a fucking magician. So, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to break this lesson down into 3 parts. First, we're going to talk about the most common mistakes that guys make whenever they're texting girls. Second, we're going to talk about the female psychology and why those different things are so important, why these mistakes are important to avoid. And finally, we're going to go into what you can do now, immediately, starting today, to make this better, to reduce the amount of unmatching you get and to increase your match to date ratio, which is really what you want. Just not getting unmatched is not enough. It only counts if you're actually getting her on a date, right? So that's what I'm here to do today. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So first off, let's talk about some of the mistakes that guys make. Some of the most common mistakes that guys make. The first mistake that guys make is that they are boring. They're boring. Oh my God. Sometimes whenever I see the messages that guys send to girls, I'm just like, why? Why would you even think that this could possibly work? I see guys send something like, "Hi. Hey. What's up? You having a good day?" Something like that. You're boring. Now, that's not an indictment on you about you being boring. That's an indictment on your messages. Your messages are boring. Why are they boring? You might be wondering. Because if you are in a situation where you're regularly getting unmatched, you are probably thinking to yourself, you know what? Every time that I'm on Bumble, a girl just messages me and she just says, "Hi, hey, what's up? How's your day going?" Or something like that, right? So, shouldn't it be the same the other way around? No, it's not. Do you know why? Because she has tits and you don't. That's the reason why. Because men are hunters, men are chasers. You know all this to be true naturally. You know this instinctively. It's not equal. It's not the same. Men and women are not the same. And the expectations for you in the dating market are very different from the expectations for her in the dating market. Why? Because she can walk into any bar in town and say, "Hey, I'm out here trying to find some dick. Who's interested?" And every hand in the bar goes up. You try that. Right? Doesn't work that way, does it? So, that's right. The standards for you are higher than they are for her. "Oh, but Jack, that's not fair." Okay, cool, right? Like, you can have an AI girlfriend instead. Or, you can actually learn how to do better. You cannot be boring. So, instead of sending, "Hi, hey, what's up?" Well, we're going to get to all that in a minute. But the other part of this is that they're too slow. I've seen this mistake 1,000 times. Guys will start a conversation. They match with a girl, even if it's on Bumble, right? She messages first. She's interested. She wants to see what's going on. What's on offer here? And then you start talking to her about some boring interview bullshit. So, like, you have any, like, brothers or sisters? Like, What's your job? What do you do? Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Great. Simba, stop. And you're talking about boring shit that's not important. That, first of all, you shouldn't be talking about, period, because who cares? And second, because it's just not interesting. Why would you be talking about any of this stuff if you're not on a date? And even on the date, I wouldn't talk about any of this stuff anyway. But especially not when you're first messaging her. It's too slow and it's uninteresting. In other words, it's boring. Now, real quick thing I want to touch on here, just so that you guys know. If you're not sure if a message of yours is boring or not, this is what you need to do. This is your test, your litmus test to find out, is this message I'm about to send boring? Here's what you do. Ask yourself, do other guys send this exact same message? If the answer is yes, then it's boring. Because anything that's common is boring. Anything that is the same as everybody else is boring. So you can't be doing that. You have to be more interesting, and you have to not be so slow. But what you view as slow, she views as boring. That's why I put these two together. Our next one is guys get overeager. Now, this is a little bit of a weird one because I absolutely recommend getting off the app as quick as possible and getting into the date as quick as possible. However, that doesn't mean that as soon as you match, you send a girl a message and you say, hey, you and I'd make a cute couple. Let's go for a date here, this time, this place. Go. It can work, especially if you're actually calibrated. Listen, don't ask me how women are able to suss out things like that over text message, but they can. They can sniff out the exact same wording from a desperate dude as opposed to a high status dude. It might have something to do with the pictures, the bio, things like that. Some level of congruence beyond those. And yes, that's right, guys. I'm going to be talking about congruence again today, just like I always do, because it's the most important thing you'll ever learn. But they know. So if you're already getting lots of dates, then you can afford to play fast and loose with the rules and jump in with your first message like that. However, if you're watching this because you're regularly getting unmatched, that's not you, is it? So you can't do that. You need to open up with something a little bit more interesting, a little bit wittier, a little bit more fun, a little bit more to the point, and don't be too overeager. The next one, poor communication. Guys, I've seen this a lot. By poor communication, I don't just mean slow messaging, but we'll get to that bit in a bit with the mistiming. However, I'm talking about if a girl asks you a question, then that means she's interested in the answer. And if you give her some kind of either one-word answer, or you go off topic, or you go the other way and you're like, here is my diatribe about all this stuff, my manifesto about how important it is to whatever, right? Like, who cares? Stop. You're not understanding the situation. You're not reading the situation correctly. If a girl asks you a question, then you should be able to give her an answer. And it should be fun. It should be engaging. It should be enticing. It should be anything other than boring. And it needs to deliver some kind of message. Whether that's a clear answer to what she asked, like, for example, if she says, so, where are you taking me on Friday night? Actually, in that example, I would definitely play it up a bit, and I would add on a bunch of frills and make that one a little bit more interesting. But if she asks something more direct, then you can just give her the answer. Or you can play with it, or you can make her guess, or you can make it a surprise, or you can do lots of different things. However, what you can't do is whenever she says something like, so tell me about yourself, and you say, well, my name's Jack. I help guys date on YouTube. What? Right? Like, bad communication. You absolutely cannot do that. You need to learn how to actually have a good communication style. The next one, mistimed messaging. So, what are you up to is a very different question when asked at 2 p.m. or at 2 a.m. You need to understand the time of your message. You need to understand the speed of your message. You need to understand how a conversation happens and what you are communicating to her with those messages. Overeager can also go along the lines of continuing the conversation after you plan the date. Yes, absolutely. The more you keep texting after the date is planned, the more likely you are to mess it up. Yes, yes. Good point, Crow. Absolutely. When you're being overeager and you set the date and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I want her to keep paying attention to me. Attention feels good. So let's talk about, doesn't work well. Listen, once the deal is already set, the date is set, all you can do now is fuck it up. So don't do that. Just stop. Say, okay, great. I'll see you at this time at this place. I'll see you then. Or I'll pick you up at this time. Or I'll meet you at this station. Or whatever your situation is. You just do that, leave it there, and then you don't need to say anything else until the day of the date. Then a couple hours before, you send something like, hope you're excited. Tonight's going to be the most epic first date you've ever had in your life. By the way, be ready for drinking, or be ready for a big surprise, or something like that. Whatever, right? That's a different thing, though. That's a different thing. So, mistimed messaging and the bad timing of certain messages. If she's answering back quickly and she's giving you a lot to work with, she is interested. She's hot. And I don't mean hot. I mean, the iron is hot. You need to go ahead and strike right now. So if she's messaging you a lot, you guys are talking back and forth quickly. Let's say you exchange 5 messages. 5 messages is a good rule of thumb that if you've exchanged 5 messages, you need to be setting up the date now. Now, don't wait until it cools off. If you wait until it cools off, she's lost interest already. So, check the timing, check the pacing, make sure that you understand all of this stuff. If you guys are talking quickly and she's asking you a bunch of questions, say, you know what, listen, I really appreciate this, but I don't like trying to get to know somebody over an app or over text. Let's talk about it on our date instead. Let's meet Friday at this place. Okay, good. Now, for timing, while we're on this subject, if you're timing your date, when should you set the date for? If you are old enough to remember Seinfeld, they had the 3-day rule in Seinfeld. Now, this is a long time ago. This is way back in the day. And the 3-day rule was, if you get a girl's phone number, you shouldn't call her for 3 days to show that you're not desperate, right? Okay. That was the rule in the 90s. However, everything has changed since then. Now we still have a 3-day rule, but it's different. Now the 3-day rule is from the time you first speak, you have 72 hours to have that date set up and be on the date. Any longer than that, and she's going to lose interest in you. If you start talking to her on a Monday, then you need to set up something on the weekdays. You need to. Because even Friday, it's like, ooh, 4 days away. That is really pushing it. That's really pushing it. If you go longer than a week out, then your chances of actually getting out on the date drop to about 10%. If you schedule it within the first 3 days, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I actually went through all of my past messages and I checked to see, like, how long was it from first talking to getting her out on a date, and then did that actually happen? Did the date actually materialize? And if I scheduled it within the first 72 hours, it was something like 80 or 90%. It was a really, really high conversion rate. But if I tried to schedule it in that 4 to 7 day period after that, it dropped to about 50%. And after 7 days, it dropped to about 10%. So, really, you have about 72 hours from first contact to being out on a date. That's your goal with the timing. And the last one, I don't want to harp on this, guys. That pic, don't do it. Don't do it. No matter how impressive you think it is, No matter how much you think, oh, she wants to though, oh, she's interested, even if she asks for it, don't do it. Don't do it. No. No. Under no circumstances. And I actually mean no circumstances. There's no way that that is ever going to increase your chances at all. Do not send that pic. All right. Now, let's move on to the female psychology portion. Cheers, boys. Female psychology. What is it then that she's looking for? We've gone through some of the mistakes that guys make, but what is she looking for? How does any of this relate? Well, the first thing she wants mystery, right? She wants to not know what's coming next. She wants a surprise. If you offered her $100 or a mystery box that could be anything, even $100, people choose the mystery box because we like surprises. We like the unknown. We like finding out. We're naturally very curious. And so use that. Play into it. Say less than is necessary. In almost any situation, you can make it more interesting, more intriguing, more mysterious. If she asks me what my job is, and I say, listen, I'm not allowed to tell you exactly what it is, but all I can say is I get paid by the government and I have access to weapons. Wait, what? What the hell? Right? Or you say, you know what, actually, I used to be a professional lion tamer, but the market has kind of fallen out for that one. You make up some kind of obvious lie. We talked about this with the teasing a couple of weeks back. Make up some kind of obvious or interesting lie. Not to lie about what you do, not to obfuscate, but because literally anything is more interesting than I'm an accountant. I work for a large company and they pay me my shekels for counting beans, right? Like, so boring. So make up something a little bit more interesting. And of course, she's going to push back and be like, no. Like, really though, what do you do? And then at that point, you can give her some kind of vague thing. I work in finance. Good enough, right? Or I work in education. Or I do a few things. I work mostly in audio and video production, something like that. And you don't have to tell her your exact job title or the company that you work for, or anything like that, because those details are boring. Instead, you leave a little bit of a question mark. You don't lie. I mean, except for the joke lies, right? But that's a different thing. That's not lying about what you do. That's creating some kind of fun role-play fantasy between the two of you. However, even when you're telling her the truth, you keep it interesting. You keep it a little bit mysterious, a little bit, that's cool, but I don't know all the details. I'm curious to find out more. Okay, well, maybe we can talk a little bit more about it on the date if you find it interesting. Okay, there you go. So use the mystery to your advantage. Our next one, excitement and newness. This goes back to being boring. You need to be a little bit more exciting. You need to have something. I told a girl I would take her on an adventure a month ago. Saw her again this week, and she's still asking me about the adventure. Perfect. Why does that work so well? Because an adventure, that sounds exciting. Also, I don't know what kind of adventure we're going to go on. I bet it's something new and fun that I've never tried before. Wow, it's almost like Papa Jack knows exactly what he's talking about, and I'm giving you the golden advice right here. Yes, that's correct. So, excitement, newness, these things are fun. You can use words like that, like adventure, like a surprise, like even use the word mystery, right? You can use these things in your conversation, in your flirting, to make things more interesting, to make it feel new. Even if So this is an example that I've used many times in the live streams about many different things. When I was living out in the sticks, in the middle of nowhere in Incheon, my buddy Stallion was living there too, and he created this whole brochure about this small little town. Like, it was so small you could literally walk across the whole thing in about 10 minutes. And he created this brochure of all the great things to see and to do out there, and how cool it was, and how fun it was, and how exciting and new it is, because they have never been to this place before. Because again, why would they ever go there? It's a small little place in the sticks. But it's new. And if you can frame it as exciting too, all of a sudden, Seoul seems so old hat. I've already been to most places in Seoul, but I bet you've never been here. Oh, okay, cool. What are we going to find there? Listen, there's a lot that the brochure doesn't tell you, because we could only fit so much on the page, but I guarantee you, I'll show you something that you've never seen before. And then you just, you take her to like some fancy local Mexican place, or so just have fun with it. It doesn't have to be that serious. All that matters is that it's exciting, that it's new, that there's a mystery, right? The same way that like a surprise box, what's in the box doesn't matter nearly as much as just the excitement of opening the box, except maybe at the end of 7. Then it really mattered, but not going to go there. So the next thing that's very important to women, this is critical, especially for you younger guys, emotional and social IQ. If you've been raised online, if you've been raised using smartphones basically since middle school, and you're much more comfortable texting than taking an actual phone call, or having a conversation like this, or maintaining eye contact with somebody while you're talking to them, this is going to be a hard one. This is going to be a big hurdle for you to leap, because this is critical. Women begin bonding on their emotional and social levels very early on, and it becomes the single guiding factor for them to learn how to pick out the right friends or the wrong friends, the right men or the wrong men, how to best understand a situation, or how to know when to get the hell out of there. And if you don't have good emotional and social intelligence, it's going to be very obvious to her. And this is the biggest part. If you're awkward, she doesn't know if you're just an awkward teddy bear or if you're an axe murderer. There's no way for her to know. So the red flag is the same in her mind. If you are demonstrating that you are socially inept, that you're not well calibrated, that you don't have basic emotional understanding, you're essentially telling her you might be a serial killer. That, hard to believe, is not the best way to get a girl interested in going on a date with you. So you definitely need to pay attention to your emotional and social intelligence and how you're coming across in these conversations, in these interactions. Next up, clear communication. All right, this one's a weird one, because clear communication to women and clear communication to men are two completely different things. They are polar opposites. However, remember what we said at the beginning about her being able to open you up by just saying hi, and you having to actually put in work to learn what to do to impress her? Same thing here. She's never going to understand how men communicate, because she doesn't have to. There's no evolutionary reason for it. There's no social benefit to her for it. There's no financial or romantic benefit. It doesn't matter one bit. You, however, do need to learn how women communicate. And women communicate much differently than men. Women communicate based on feeling. And they want a clear communication, but not the same way that a man does, right? If you ask a guy, you say, oh, hey, let's hang out this weekend. All right, cool. What you want to do? How about we go to this bar on Friday? I finish work at 8 o'clock. Let's meet there at 9. Cool. Done. Finished. Direct. Clear, right? Doesn't work that way. At least not with women. Works great with men. However, with women, instead what you do is you create a little bit more. You still have those same things. The basic stuff stays in there, right? But you're like, listen, you know, I've been really busy these days, but I think I can make time to pencil you in. So we're creating like a little bit of a fear of losing out. Oh, this might be my only chance. I think I can pencil you in for Friday after I finish work. It's usually pretty busy on Friday, so I'm going to finish kind of late. But you think you can make it to this bar by 9 o'clock? Okay, good. Because I have something very special planned at this place on Friday at 9. Make sure that your schedule stays clear there, because this is going to be something that you never want to miss, all right? And if you miss this, you're going to be kicking yourself for the rest of your life, thinking, why didn't I do this? It's about creating a story, a shared journey. It's about creating an emotional high and an emotional low. And you can do all that with the exact same basic building blocks, but add in the other stuff. Add in the frills and the storytelling and this and that and things like that. Make it more colorful. Make it more interesting. I do want to throw in a quick warning here. Some of you guys are going to be thinking to yourself, oh, great, I know how to do that. I'll just tell ChatGPT, hey, here's the basics. Write me a pretty message about it. You can do that. You can. Okay, I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But what I would caution you on is that you need to learn from it. You need to learn the same principles, the same ones that I'm teaching you now. Because no matter how good ChatGPT is at it, or, you know, whatever, you've got your like auto riz or something. I think Paul said he's going to develop an app to do that as well. Look, you can have that, and that might get you out on the date, but you still have to do the things on the date. You still have to meet her in person for any of this to work. So it's critical that you learn this stuff, because, again, even if all your messaging is perfect, you get her out on the date, but then you don't have the right emotional and social intelligence. You're not congruent because the way that you were texting before is different from how you're speaking now. She's gonna see it as a red flag. You're a serial killer. I'm sorry, Paul, please put that back up. I just needed to... Okay. Jack, if women communicate indirectly and via chat, we try to be direct, at the same time being funny and interesting. Direct to... Okay, why some of them just don't want to set a date and tell that needs more time chatting and getting to know about each other. That's absolute bullshit. That's absolute bullshit, right? Like, no. Listen, if she's interested, then she's already interested, and if she's not, what's the best way to overcome this type of girl, or best to just move on, right? So here's the thing. In that situation, what you're doing is you're just shooting your shot, right? And if some girl, like, situation by situation, of course, right? As I'm talking here, I'm painting with the broadest of possible brushes of all 3.8 billion women in the world. Obviously, this isn't always the case. However, for the most part, listen, if a girl says something like, oh, I need more time chatting, I need more time talking to you or something, I assume that you don't mean within the first couple of messages, right? Because if it's within the first couple of messages, that's fine. Your goal is actually to move her, first off of the app onto a chatting application. Kakao or WhatsApp, or get her number, SMS if you're in America. I don't know why America insists on being so fucking old. Yeah, we're going to send SMS messages. Oh my God. Anyway, doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you're doing, you need to get off of the app and onto that other thing as quickly as possible. And then from there, you aim to set up the date quickly. If you get the feeling, if you know your types, which we're going to get to in a minute, if you know your types and you know that you are dealing with a complete prude, right? Maybe she's 19 and she's never even been on a date in her life. Read the situation, right? She's going to need a little bit more time, a little bit more talking, a little bit more getting to know each other. That's fine. And you know what? If you find yourself in that situation, say, that's cool. But you know what, though? I feel like we'd be able to get to know each other a little bit better over a phone call or over a video call or something like that. Let's move over to that. Make sure that, we get along well. Perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. However, You need to learn the telltale signs of if she's interested but just needs a little bit more time and comfort, or if she's wasting your time and just slow rolling you to death. Because both of those are possible based on the description that you gave me. And I can't give you a 100% answer of which it definitely is. You need to learn the types. You need to learn how to read the situation, how best to understand what to do in those cases, right? But as a general rule, unless she fits into that really small category, she's just wasting your time. All right. Oh, or she might be keeping you around as a plan B, right? Maybe she's got a date with Chad later on, but then she's like, but you know, Chad might flake. Chad might get a better date than me, so let's keep this guy around for like maybe that one flakes. And you don't ever want to be somebody's plan B, right? So don't deal with that. All right. The last thing on here for the female psychology part is she needs to see strong leadership out of you. Now, what I mean by that is you need to be, first of all, you need to be leading the conversation. And if you don't yet know how to lead the conversation, you need to go over to my blog at The Soul Player. There you can read the articles of the Game in a Nutshell. It's completely free over there. You can see the entire thing, not just the art of the approach, but also conquering conversation, where I break down step by step all of the different parts of the conversation. I give examples of those things. You need to learn how to read a conversation. Now, that article is written towards in-person conversations, but the same basic principles apply. You need to understand when you're showing something, when you're asking something. You need to learn how to push and pull. You need to learn how to actually ask her on the date. Figure that out. Say, hey, let's do this thing. Not, hey, do you want to like maybe meet sometime and do something? Because that's the weakest possible leadership. That's the opposite of leadership. You're literally asking her to lead so that you can follow. Not it. Absolutely does not work. Do not do that. You need to show decisiveness, strong leadership. Hey, there's a thing that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I need somebody to do it with. And I think that you would really enjoy it. Have you ever heard of Lagavulin? I want to go on a Lagavulin tasting tour. She's like, what? No. What's Lagavulin? And be like, well, listen. It's the best thing you'll ever put in your... Well, maybe the second best thing you'll ever put in your mouth. And play with that, okay? Hey, when do you want to meet? No. Hey, let's meet this time. Let's meet this day. Let's do this thing. You need to be leading the conversation in a strong and affirmative way. That is the best thing you can do. Now, if she starts to push back a little bit, she's like, oh, hold on. Like, I can't do that day. Or like, wait, I don't know about this thing. Then toss it right back. Be like, okay, cool. So what are you thinking then? Right? If somebody asks for the mantle of leadership, here you go then. Have it. No? Okay. Didn't think so. Right. So, anyway, let's do this then. Right? That's the easiest way to deal with that quickly is to just don't bend over. Don't bend over. Don't bend over and take it. Right? Like, if she says, like, wait, why are you deciding everything? Toss it to her and not angry, but say, okay, cool, that's fine. I didn't even want to do this. Great. You tell me. What are we doing then? What's the plan? And then if she doesn't take it and run with it, then, right, you take it right back. And if she does take it and run with it, it's probably a red flag, right? She's one of those strong women. I would watch out for that. I wouldn't want to deal with that. But that said, let's now move on to some easy fixes that you can start applying. Oh my God, this lesson has gone so long. All right, that's fine. This is good stuff. This is going to help you guys out very quickly too, because these are easy, quick fixes that you can start applying today. First, know the types. know the types. You need to know the different types of women. If you're just wandering around saying, I just want anyone who wants to touch my willy, then that's not going to work out well for you, right? So you need to know the types. If you don't know them yet, again, you can go over to the blog. It's totally free on there. You can learn about all the different types. You get the short version, you get the text version, right? And if you want the video version, the kid's not here. Damn it, the kid's not here today, but we have a special coming up very soon, within the next 48 hours. I don't know. He's not here, so I can't check it to make sure. Soon, very soon. We have a special coming up very soon, specifically for the types course that you can get it for practically nothing. And you can get the longer video versions of that. Or you can start learning about them today on the blog, totally free, thesoulplayer.com. And it's right there at the top. The types of Korean women, but it applies globally. It's all the women. Next, you need to inject fun and excitement into any conversation you're having. You need to be able to artificially create highs and create lows. You need to create a fun opening line, and it doesn't need to be the same every time. It doesn't need to be different. It doesn't need to be amazing. It doesn't need to be terrible. It doesn't need to be anything specific. It just needs to be fun. It needs to be exciting. It needs to be new. It needs to have some mystery. It needs to have some excitement. It needs to have something to it. It doesn't even matter what it is. Hey, do you think you're more of a dog person or a cat person? Me, I'm more of a cat person. Oh, well, that's just perfect. Because all of the dog type girls like it rough. Or like fucking anything. That's stupid. And that's still more interesting than, hey, what's up? Right? Like anything to inject some fun, to inject some excitement, to make her pay attention. You can use GIFs for this. You can use memes. You can use all sorts of stuff, but it does need to get her attention. Because if you don't have her attention, how can she possibly become attracted to you? How can you possibly show her anything about yourself if you don't have her attention? So, use fun, use excitement, get her attention ASAP. Next, you need to... That was supposed to be emotional intelligence and congruence, but then I moved congruence down. So, demonstrate your emotional intelligence. Demonstrate that you understand situations, that you are socially capable. Demonstrate that you know this stuff, that you understand how conversations work, how interactions happen, that you're not being weird and jumping from thing to thing, that you're not just out of the blue being like, hey, let's meet at a bar, right? Like, slow it down, right? Like, calm down. If you don't know how to have conversations like that, I highly recommend that you, again, the kid, I really wish that the kid were here. Go over to realjacknorth.com, sign up for a call with me. By the time that you have a free call with me, we'll have the Dating Skills Mastery course up and ready for you guys, again, as cheap as I can possibly make it, to give you everything you need, including my word-for-word dating script that I used to use when I was dating. So, that's absolutely going to help you out. You need to be able to demonstrate your emotional intelligence, your social calibration, and the fact that you understand women and you understand yourself, which, understanding yourself, congruence is confidence. If you get this is a mistake that a lot of guys make, is they get these perfect pictures done up and they get a perfect bio written for them by somebody else, and then they start getting matches, but then they get onto the actual messages and it's a different person, because it is a different person. It's different than the person who wrote the bio, so it's incongruent. And it's possible you might get through the messaging phase, especially if you got a little bit of help, like inside the Discord community. Guys help you out with that stuff. But if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have confidence in what you're saying, confidence is congruence, congruence is confidence, then it's going to come across either in the messaging or on the date if you actually get out there, and it's ultimately going to end up in failure. So you need to figure out, first of all, who the hell you are. You need to figure that out first and foremost, if you don't know who you are and if you don't accept yourself and understand yourself, then you can't possibly demonstrate any of your emotional intelligence. You can't possibly have a high social IQ because you don't even know who you're supposed to be. You don't know what part you're playing in any of this. So figure out yourself first. Figure out the congruence bits. I've run through that in literally every weekly live stream that we've done for about the last year. I've harped on congruence, and today is no different because congruence is your confidence and confidence is your key. Finally, take it offline. I've said this now a couple of times, but take it offline. The guys who are, like Crow said earlier, being overeager by talking too much, or they're being too slow by just jumping into those weird interview questions and not getting it offline. Listen, take it offline. Once you're meeting in person, you stand a 100x better chance of actually creating a connection than you do while you're on an app where she's already talking to dozens of other guys. And you might think, oh, well, she's not talking to dozens of other guys. Oh, yes, she absolutely is. Because literally every guy who she swipes right on is a match. Except for maybe the top 10% or so. But she's talking to lots of other guys. You're on there. You're in the middle of a group chat, basically. But you don't get to see what everybody else is saying. Get it offline immediately, as quickly as you possibly can, and never look back. It should stay offline after that. There might be a little bit of texting in between dates, but mostly just to set up the next date. Chatting over text doesn't happen until you're in some kind of relationship. And if you've already gotten there, then you don't need to worry too much about this anymore, do you? So, if you're having trouble with some of this stuff, if you want to know more about how you can personally create the best strategy for you, if you want to learn how to be more congruent, more confident, if you want to learn which types are the best for you, if you want to learn how to better show your emotional and social intelligence, or maybe you don't have any yet and need to develop some, the best thing you can do is go over to realjacknorth.com right now. realjacknorth.com. Where is it? There it is. realjacknorth.com. And you can sign up there for a free call with me. I will talk to you one-on-one and personally help you to figure out what it is that you need to do to better start dating the women that you want in your life. Thanks for watching. Click here for another live stream full of practical, real-life dating advice for you.